My name is Jamie Shew. I am the county clerk of Douglas County, Kansas, and part of that includes being a county election officer, among other duties. Well, there's a couple things. First, like many offices, I think we had kind of cobbled together spreadsheets to track everything. And so we had all of these spreadsheets, none of them talked. And the second part was, post kind of the 2016 election, we started having conversations about asset management and how we can track, record, and if needed, share with people that we're secure, that we have chain of custody. We were having lots of conversations about how we would improve our chain of custody, but also kind of the efficiency of our department with each of us having different spreadsheets. Modus had been coming to our statewide conferences for a couple years. And so I had conversations with them. There weren't a lot of counties in our state at that time that were using Modus. So I didn't have a lot of people that I could talk to in our state, but I did talk to other people in other states. And I was just comfortable in the conversations. I mean, I've been having conversations with Michael and David for a couple years, just kind of some of my ideas. And I think I was pretty comfortable. I think the doubts were if it would be too complex for my staff. We're a medium-sized county. We're about 84,000 registered voters. I don't have a huge staff. I don't have a tech department. And so the question was if this would be something we'd be able to implement that my staff could use without much of a human resources investment. Well, interestingly, timing is what made us realize it was a good decision. So we started the process of implementation in 2019 and fully implemented at the first part of 2020. Then the pandemic hit, and most of my staff started working remotely, including my poll worker coordinator. Because we had Modus, she could work on poll worker assignments. I could look at them. We could work on poll worker information and not be near each other. We could not have been able to do that before Modus. If we'd not had Modus in the pandemic, we would have had to come up with some ways to do that. We didn't think about the pandemic when we signed with Modus, but it was during that we realized it was a really important decision that helped us deal with how you run an elections office during a pandemic. Well, I think the biggest one is the RFID project. The poll worker management software is really good and really kind of pulled it together, but it was that asset inventory management that just transformed our office. One of the things that I had been talking to Modus about was we had thought about using barcodes in order to track our equipment. And in those conversations, the discussion was, what if we try radio frequency tags? And so we worked with them on that project. We were one of their kind of test counties in doing that. And that has transformed our office. We got chosen by the legislature to go through an audit of our operations. A legislative post-audit is what's called here in Kansas. For the portion where we talk about inventory control, asset chain of custody, we were able to go into Modus and pull down all kinds of reports to give to them. And they were very impressed that we had that information. That came from that RFID, because when we looked at the barcodes, it was going to take a lot of work to just scan each barcode. The RFID system, like every time we deliver, our staff can sweep the room with this scanner, and it automatically logs everything. When everything comes back into our warehouse, they sweep the warehouse and it logs that everything's in the warehouse. It has been transformative for the way that we run our office. I think the biggest thing that I tell people, because a lot of Kansas counties are starting to go with them and they call me about my experience, is the responsiveness of them to shape the product for us. When you're talking to Modus, you're talking to people who are actually doing the programming. And so like my poll worker coordinator can contact them and say, well, I'd really like this report to look this way, or I'd really like to do this. And within a couple of days, they'll say, okay, we did it. A lot of bigger companies that you deal with an off-the-shelf product, they have to design it for all of their customers, right? Modus has been so responsive in helping shape this for our organization and doing it in a way that we don't have to wait 3 years for an upgrade. Well, I think the biggest thing I would talk to is organizations more our size. That often, if you go to your state conference or maybe national conferences, you see these really cool ideas, but they're implemented by counties with millions of voters and IT staff. And you think that something like the RFID project is not something you can do because you just don't have the staff, you don't have the resources. Somebody like Modus makes that possible, because they kind of become your IT staff, and they help build that for you. And that's really important, that you're not kind of locked out of being innovative just because maybe you don't have that internal staff. Using somebody like Modus means you can be innovative, and you can really create different ways to run your office.